What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Today I'm filming a little story time about going to Australia to model. I get so many questions about this, about why I went there, why Australia, how long was I there for, what happened. So I wanted to sit down and do a little story time. Also, Australia was one of the best times of my life and I really just wanted to share this story with you guys. So let me just kind of set the stage for how this even happened. I had decided to defer from a college that I was accepted to senior year, and I wanted to take a gap year and try modeling full-time for 1 year before I decided whether or not to go to college. I was expecting to start in the fall when all my friends went to college, but this actually happened at the very beginning of the summer. So I had just turned 18, I had just graduated from high school, and we were on a little graduation trip to New York. I decided to just pop into my agency and say hi to everybody, just catch up because I hadn't seen them in a while. So when I got there, my agent took some new digitals just for fun, and he was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna send these to the Sydney office and just see what they say and maybe you'll go there. And I was surprised. I was like, oh, okay, sure. And actually that night, a few hours later, I was out at dinner with my family and a few friends and I got a call from my agent and he was basically like, pack your bags, kid, you're going to Sydney next week. And they said, send her here ASAP.
She started screaming.
A couple days later, I took the train home. I started packing my bags. My mom started working on my paperwork for my taxes and my work visa. And I had kind of planned for that summer to be spent with my friends before everybody went to college. So it was a little bit of an adjustment to all of a sudden be spending the whole summer across the world, but I was so excited and this was such an amazing opportunity. And 5 days later, I got on a plane to Sydney. Basically, the point of going to Sydney was to build my book because some of the best photographers in the world live in Australia. For some reason, my camera stopped recording right here, so I'm just gonna have to refilm this little bit. It's also now dark and raining, but that's okay. So basically, the main point of going to Australia was to build my book and get really good pictures, and the focus wasn't as much on making money. Of course, they did still want me to make money. Really, the main point was just getting amazing pictures. Another goal for me was to get out of my shell because I was kind of in this little bubble and I hadn't really come into my personality yet. I definitely was not independent, so the goal of this was to make me more independent and more outgoing. There actually weren't any IMG model apartments in Sydney. So what they do instead of that is they'll set up models with people that the agency knows. So I ended up staying with a photographer named Bonnie Hansen, and she is amazing. She literally became like my Australian mom, and I love her so much. And the agency, of course, always makes sure that these people are trustworthy and they love them and they know them and they trust them with their girls. So as soon as I landed in Sydney, I went to Bonnie's apartment and I met her, and I was supposed to go meet my agent that day. I made the mistake of laying down. So some advice that I would just like to give you is if you are ever going to a new country, switching time zones, do not lay down when you get there unless you want to sleep for the next 6 hours. So I ended up sleeping through my meeting with my agent. But of course, my agent was super understanding, and I actually met with him the next day and immediately got sent to 3 castings. So I definitely hit the ground running when I got to Australia. I started with a couple test shoots, which is what I was there for, but I quickly started booking what they call money jobs, which are paying editorials, some e-com work, stuff like that. I actually started booking so many money jobs that they had me stay for 3 months instead of 2 months. So my original plan of being there for 2 months, which is what I had in my head the whole time. I was like, 2 months, I can do this. Then got switched to 3 months, which I was super happy about. It was just a little bit of an adjustment to make because I was expecting to go home and see my family and be back in the US. Once I learned that it was getting extended to 3 months, I actually had my mom come and visit me, and she stayed with me for like 10 days and it was super fun, and we got to do some touristy type things that I hadn't gotten the chance to do. I was still working the whole time she was there, but we did get to see each other a lot. While I was there, I did deal with a lot of anxiety because this was the first time that I was completely on my own. I was in a foreign country. I didn't know any people when I got there, and it definitely gave me a lot of anxiety. Something that I would kind of just tell myself whenever I was in a stressful situation was, I am going to have to do this whether I am freaking out or not. so I might as well do it without freaking out. And that really got me through a lot of my anxious moments. I used to be a very anxious person. In fact, I couldn't order my own food at a restaurant until I was like 15 or 16. So going to Australia alone was a really, really big step for me. And I've also dealt with a lot of social anxiety. There were plenty of nights when my friends would invite me out and I would just be like, I can't do it. I don't have the energy. I don't want to meet new people. It's scary. But I would sit there and I would get ready and I would tell myself, you are going to have fun. It's okay to meet new people. They will like you. They will accept you. And I had some of the best nights of my life when I pushed through the social anxiety. But that also leads me into the whole social scene. So I was 18. I was unsupervised for the first time in my life across the world, and the drinking age was 18. So I really had to make sure I was being responsible, holding myself accountable, making sure I wasn't going out on nights before shoots or nights before castings because I wanted to show up as the best version of myself. I think I handled that well for the most part. There were definitely nights that I made bad decisions, like getting a matching tattoo with one of my friends, which I didn't get approved from my agents, which goes against my contract, but my agents thankfully were very understanding. So of course I made some dumb teenager alone across the world decisions. For the most part, I felt that I was very responsible. There were definitely really difficult days and I had to deal with some pretty difficult things. Like for example, I woke up one morning and I felt so sick. I was nauseous. I felt like I had a fever, and that day I had one of the biggest cover shoots I had ever booked. Hi, it stopped recording here again. But basically what happened is I called my agent and I told him what was going on. I told him how I felt, and we decided that I did feel well enough to push through it and I felt like I was going to be able to do it. So of course we let the whole team know that I wasn't feeling well, and everybody was kind of in agreement that if I felt like I could push through and make it through the day, then I was more than welcome to come to the shoot still. And I have pushed through a lot of things and I know my limits, and this was very close to my limit. So I splashed some cold water on my face and I went to the shoot. I actually almost passed out shooting, and the stylist was actually getting me dressed and was like, wow, your skin feels really, really hot. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I am well. And the shoot ended up being a little over 9 hours, and I immediately left and wanted to go home, but my mom was like, you need to take yourself to the doctor. So with the very little energy I had left, I went to the doctor. I sat in the waiting room for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours. So the doctor finally saw me. I had a temperature of like 103 point something. The doctor's office was 2 blocks away from my house, and I called an Uber. That's how tired and sick I was. My agent did give me the rest of the week off, and I just laid in bed and died for the rest of the week. And everything ended up being fine and I got better, but it was definitely a pretty scary situation. So within the 3 months I was there, I went to 43 castings. I shot for 19 magazines. I did 7 test shoots. Four e-com shoots, and 2 runway shows. So I was very, very busy, and this was totally unexpected, and it was amazing, and I'm so glad that everyone in Australia was so welcoming, and I love it there so much. I would literally move there if I could, and I cannot wait to go back. And I think the biggest takeaways from this trip was really me gaining a lot of confidence. I'm now very capable of dealing with my anxiety. I have become super independent, and I just think that this trip really brought me out of my shell. So the trip did exactly what it was supposed to do. I also got to do some of the coolest shoots ever. I ended up being in 3 Vogue spreads, which was totally insane. And I got to work with amazing photographers like Bonnie Hansen, Jake Terry, Simon Upton, and so many others. And that is definitely one of my favorite parts of modeling, is getting to meet those crazy, creative, amazing people. Overall, Australia was the best time of my life. So grateful for everyone being so welcoming and nice to me there. And it was really just such a cool experience. So yeah, that's basically the story of why I went to Australia and what kind of went down while I was there. And I hope you guys enjoyed this little story time. And I love you all so much. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time.